Feel your best and amplify your everyday look with Thrive Causemetics. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. How are you? Hope I find you well. Are you excited for it yet? It is almost here, the 2026 World Cup. The team's been selected, they now have their squad numbers. They've jetted off to Miami on Monday morning from Birmingham with Virgin Atlantic. How long will their stay be? We'll have to wait and see. Now, I hope you enjoyed the recent episodes that have been released. What have we had? There was the one where I spoke with the travel guides from Dallas, Boston and New Jersey. There was the book episode where I spoke with a variety of authors, including England fullback Paul Parker. I looked at Thomas Tuchel's squad, of which we now know, as I say, the squad numbers for each player. I also spoke with England fan Dean Cornish about his new book, England's on Their Way. And then there is the Lionesses. Now they are looking to secure their passage to next year's Women's World Cup. Their final two qualifiers are against Spain and Ukraine. This episode, however, is taking a look at the two warm-up games before the big tournament starts. New Zealand and Costa Rica in the Florida series. Now, usual listeners will know I like to try and speak with fans from each nation. Now, you'll hear that I managed to chat with a Kiwi, but unfortunately, Costa Rica got the better of me. It wasn't for the want of trying. I messaged websites, newspapers, I messaged the embassy in London. I messaged a Costa Rican restaurant as well. Sometimes I just have to admit defeat. Just didn't get anything from them. Now, I'll come to that chat in a moment with my Kiwi. But don't forget, you can follow the show on social media. Just search Three Lions Podcast. It's on all the usual places. Give it a like, give it a follow, and a rating on whatever platform you're listening on would be ideal. Now, I also mentioned the book episode. Thanks to Pitch Publishing and the 66.news, I have a few books to give away. Head over to those socials, as at the moment, I have a copy of Robert Taylor's Tears for England to give away. Go on, go give it a go. Now, England face New Zealand in one of these pre-World Cup friendlies. It's at the Raymond James Stadium, Tampa. It's in Florida, and it will be the third time the two sides will have met. This is on the 6th of June. Two previous times we met, it was both back in 1991. It was on a tour down under. We met in Auckland and Wellington. England won both of those games. Now, if you've been listening to the episodes I recorded with Rob Did, he actually mentioned when he went to both of those games. So go check out that one. There was also supposed to be a fixture between the two teams in 2020 at Wembley. But yeah, there was a major thing going on at the time then, and ultimately the game didn't happen. But hopefully this game will happen. And I'm delighted to be joined by Matt Fejos from the wonderfully named Flying Kiwis supporters group. Matt, you all right there?
Thanks for having me. Live and direct from Wellington, New Zealand.
Lovely. I mean, this is the lengths I have to go to. I have to stay up late to catch you early in the morning.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you joining me for a quick chat. Tell us about the Flying Kiwis supporters.
What started with just getting friends together to go support the national team. Growing up in New Zealand, partly the time that you have to watch football. And there's never really been the same kind of live football culture that there is in England or in South America, Europe, Asia, pretty much anywhere in the world. So growing up as a kid, I kind of saw it through a television at 3 a.m. in the morning and, was always amazed by what football meant to people. And so this, I guess it's just been a project to try and grow passionate support for my own national team initially with my own friends, and then over kind of 16, 17 years now, it's grown by default, I guess, in a way. It's not, it's not necessarily saying anything amazing about what we've done as a group, but just by default, we're kind of the supporters group for the national team. So, yeah, all of a sudden gone from taking 32 friends down to a World Cup qualifier in 2009 to now allocating out 1,098 World Cup tickets, pre-match venues with capacity of 1,000 plus, accommodation package. So yeah, it's exciting for us. The World Cup stage has been 16 years in the waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no pressure then on your shoulders organising all of that.
It's survival success sometimes.
I bet. Yeah, as you say, 16 years ago when New Zealand were last at the World Cup, that was in South Africa. I actually went to one of those games. That it was. Who did you play in Rustenburg? He scored in the last minute. Slovakia, yes.
The game, yeah. Oh, amazing.
The Dust Bowl that was Rustenburg.
Yeah, was there a ditch between the pitch and the stand?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it was all.
One of the players went down it by accident celebrating.
Oh, yeah, he may well have done.
Yeah. Just a weird memory from watching it again at a silly time and early in the morning in New Zealand. And
before that, of course, 1982, wasn't it? In Spain was your World Cup debut.
Yeah, and so that was, 2010 was kind of, getting that, I don't know what, the monkey off the back, so to speak. It was a big thing because it was more than a generation, I guess, 28 years. Yeah. Certainly 2 or 3 generations of players at least.
Yeah. So now, well, now you're back, and I think I'm right in saying New Zealand were one of the first to qualify, weren't they?
Yeah, and a kind of strange quirk to it all, and it's amazing to think now that was way back in the March window last year.
Yeah.
So when in Doha, but 51 of us, it was kind of still travel was interrupting a lot. New Zealand especially, because they were kind of later to get hit by COVID. 51 of us went to Doha in June 2022. So if we qualified, that would have been, I think, 4 or 5 months' notice before the November window. But yeah, as it turns out, one of the very first to qualify, possibly the first outside the 3 hosts. It's hard to remember now. But yeah, that's a pretty big lead in 15 months, which has been good for us to get prepared and organised and get people interested.
Yeah, and you must have seen the growth of the game then, the interest and in your time there.
Yeah, and for me, it's an interesting one because I've just had 10 years in the UK, in Manchester. So I've only come back to New Zealand in the last 6 months, kind of, in the lead up and build up. So it was just a lot better to be back home for it. So in some ways, that's like waking up from a coma, So it's like something changed and some things you expect to be the same. But there's been some big changes, probably, I guess, since the 2010 World Cup. Participation-wise, under 18s football's now more popular than rugby, and possibly I need to check this. Possibly all ages now as well. So the All Blacks will still dominate the front and back pages. But 2 days ago, Auckland FC won the Australian A-League, and actually they had some presence on the front and the back page, which doesn't happen often for football. So, yeah, there's new ground being trod, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to mention Auckland FC, first New Zealand side to win the A-League, which is, of course, the Australian league, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's so many quirks to it, and it's a crazy setup here now because they've won the Australian A-League because they're an Oceania club, which is a different confederation. That's like having an Asian team play in Europe, say, or I guess a So if a North African team played in Europe, which is geographically not very far away.
Yeah.
So on Saturday night, they won the Australian A-League. And then on Sunday, their second team won the Oceania Pro League to actually qualify for, I think it's an intercontinental, and then that'll earn them points to qualify. You know, they do like a 4-year average type thing to qualify for the Club World Cup every 4 years.
Yeah.
So they're the champions within 2 days' time. They've become the champions of Australia and the champions of Oceania, which is a different confederation.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm guessing the Aussies aren't too happy then, are they?
I hope not. I really hope not. That's the only reason we play there.
Is Auckland, are they the only team from New Zealand that play in the A-League?
So the Wellington Phoenix have been around for, I think they're coming up to their 20th season. I think it was 2007.
Right.
Yeah, but Auckland FC have come in, Bill Foley, Bournemouth, like a big kind of club, multi-club thing.
Yeah.
So they've not had to muck around, and they've hit the ground running, and what's important for me is that, you know, there's arguments about multi-club and wealthy owners and stuff, but like off the pitch, the fans, the active support there, the amount of young kids who are growing up now with, you know, active support every weekend is class.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
No, well done to them. Well, you mentioned the All Blacks. Of course, they're the rugby side. The All Whites are the soccer side. Let's take a look at the game coming up, 6th of June, between the two sides. It's a bit of a strange one, really, for these two games. England will play New Zealand and Costa Rica. They seem to be announced quite late in the grand scheme of things, and it, with the greatest of respect, it was almost a bit of a disappointment that we got New Zealand.
Thanks, mate.
No. Well, there was a lot of talk.
No. I get it. Like, I couldn't have imagined it. And you're talking like there's 2 games, really, isn't there? I think sometimes they can play a third behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's about 10 days before the World Cup or something. But yeah, I don't know how that all worked. I don't know if in the past it was sometimes that New Zealand would get a good friendly around this time because whoever was in Australia's pool saw us as the most similar to playing an Australian style of football, I guess.
Yeah.
So sometimes as, you know, because of that, we would get some big friendlies. But, I can't explain it. I don't know how it works commercially either. But here we are. So, yeah, it's great for New Zealand. I can't imagine what it's like for England, I guess. But, yeah, God knows how those decisions are made, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's a warm-up for the World Cup for both sides because we're both involved in the tournament. I've been having a look through the squad, and obviously there's a few players that may be familiar with England fans. Looking through it, there's a goalkeeper, Max Kroom at Millwall. Who else we've got there? Chris Wood, of course, is the obvious one, captain of the New Zealand side. Of course, at Nottingham Forest was banging in the goals last season. Quite a lot. There's a really interesting one. Tommy Smith. He actually plays for Braintree Town, who are non-league. Basically, they're not non-league Southern or something like that.
I believe they just got relegated. Yeah.
Oh, did they?
From 5th tier to 6th tier.
Yeah,
that's right. National League's the 5th tier. League 2.
Fair play to him for making the squad. But go on, go through the squad. Tell us who your sort of the fans like and who to look out for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just on those 2 names you mentioned. So they're the 2 kind of originals that were there in 2010. So Tommy Smith was starting in from memory in quite a good back 3 with Ryan Nelson and Winston Reid. So Winston Reid, because of that World Cup, I looked it up. He was actually already playing like Danish First Division at 18 or 19. So it's not like he was nowhere. You know, he had a Kiwi parent, largely grew up over there. But yeah, so Tommy Smith was played a World Cup when he was young, played for Ipswich and at good levels higher up the league, not quite Premier League. And he had a really good career, and he was here for the first season. He came back last season with Auckland FC, and he was a big part of that on and off the pitch. But yeah, the response has been probably quite dividing. Obviously, I think 26 players gives you a little bit more flex that even with insurances that you're going to have some players that aren't going to play. And then you can debate whether that should be a young player for the future or, a Tommy Smith who's kind of been described as like a cultural architect. So him and Chris Wood, I believe, are more or less best mates who are, been doing it for 16 years. And for Chris Wood, with his status in the game now, which he's had a long career and a lot of loans and a lot of up and down from the championship since debuting in the Premier League at 17. So incredible resilience from him. So to see them both there is pretty cool. And he'll always, when he can, fly all the way back here. Again, I don't know how that works with clubs who would rather, it happens in the best of times and with the biggest teams like Fergie or even Arsenal recently.
Yeah.
They were called back 12 players, whatever it was, in the March window. So you can imagine the pressure on a little federation like New Zealand to say, no, Chris, we don't want you flying around the world just to play a couple of friendlies, but he'll always make himself available whenever he can. So, those are, I guess, two stalwarts, and Chris Wood will start and play a lot. And, the coach has kind of said that Tommy Smith is there for more of cultural off-the-field role.
He's our Jordan Henderson, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah. And look, if they had to play, obviously they would. Yeah. And, it's not like you'd fear a train wreck either. Like they're there for a reason, and they've played both for a long, long time for good reason too. Yeah, it's a great comparison, actually. Yeah.
So is there any up-and-coming players that you got your eye on thinking they could be one for the future?
Yeah, like that qualifying game in 2022 in Doha for that World Cup where Chris Wood had a goal disallowed actually to equalise in that game. And it was kind of one of the first games that we really took it to kind of, we don't get to play many teams outside of Oceania, as silly as that sounds, but then it's even more difficult to get them down there. So that was kind of a young, courageous team who, a little bit more technical and attacking and were really courageous. So a few key names there are Libby Kakache at left back. Phoenix debuted at about 17 when he was still at school. Went overseas to Belgium and then Serie A, where he was there for maybe 4 seasons, I want to say.
Yeah.
For a club called Empoli.
Yep.
And, earned his way into regular game time there and a range of positions near the end as well. So kind of started his career as a left back, more of a left wing back now, but even had goes into number 10 there too. And so he got signed by Wrexham this season. But after, I think he literally played 5 years straight and had only missed games because of COVID and school exams. But then he's had a season kind of just held back by injury a lot. But he's finally back fit just in time for like the big games in the championship when they're pushing to, playoffs and go up. So, I guess they've got a month less than to build up match fitness for guys like that. But yeah, Libby is kind of one of a new breed, I guess, from New Zealand, and he's athletic and fast and skillful and loves to get forward. Marko Stamenic in the middle was another one with just a fascinating career path. Went overseas, didn't go to the Phoenix, so he jumped direct overseas. And then, testing my memory here now, actually, this is the first season that he hasn't won a double in 4 years. So he's been to 3 different countries. He was at Copenhagen for a couple of years. He won the double in Copenhagen and then went to Red Star Belgrade, which is his father Serbian, and won the double there, and then went to Greece, Olympiakos, who were owned by Forest. And then he went back for Forest pre-season. Yeah, but I guess that's another maybe example of the multi-club thing. Yeah. So who knows what his chances ever were of playing there. But he went back for pre-season and then got sold to Swansea. So he's had a really good first season for Swansea and kind of slotted right in there. Yeah. Quite combative in the central midfield, but, 2-footed playmaker, certainly by New Zealand standards. So when your genes are kind of Serbian father and Samoan mum, you're going to be a bit of a warrior, a bit of an athlete. Yeah. But yeah, he's, like I say, by New Zealand standards, he can play off both feet and likes to get up and down. So yeah, I'd say those 2 players are probably representative of this new generation.
Yeah. Well, it's a game that I don't know how people are really going to take it, to be honest. generally friendlies are just sort of a pre-World Cup when no one wants to get injured. It's just a case of getting a run out really before the main tournament starts. And of course, you're in the tournament. You're in a strange old group, aren't you? Belgium, Egypt, and Iran. I can't call it, to be honest.
And it's hard even now with 48 teams too. When you hear a country's name, when you hear Italy, you always think they're strong and they're not even at the World Cup.
Yeah,
there's actually Libby's family, like there's his heritage, his dad's from Italy. So God, you can imagine him growing up watching Italy at World Cups, and then I think they haven't made the last three.
That's right.
And to think that he'd be playing for New Zealand. So yeah, like on rankings, they're about Belgium are kind of 7-8 to the top 10 as they should be, and then I think the other two are like 12 and 20. So sometimes, like on perception, they don't sound huge, but yeah, top 20 nations are tough for us when we're ranked 80 odd, I think, at the moment, which is always a bit skewed because again we largely play Oceania teams. So what's the measure actually in the last year? We've been within a goal or two, I think, of all these games we've played against much stronger opposition.
So what would be a success for New Zealand at this World Cup?
Look, it's hard because of the pub quiz question result from 2010. So we're unbeaten since 1982 because we've got draws that you said you were lucky enough to see, which is big history and craziness for this country. But with 48 teams, 8 out of 12 third places go through. So by my maths, 3 points and respectable goal difference, I think should put you in the frame for a chance of that. So, the expectations are a lot bigger from the team as well as the public, I think. So, within reason still, but I think that would be the fair goal for everyone is to give it the best crack to get out of the pool.
Yeah, absolutely. Are all your games in the States, or have you got some travelling?
It's pretty good from a fan perspective, especially if you think in New Zealand's this side. So LA is kind of our entry, our side in, as opposed to the other side. So LA first game, and then 2 games in Vancouver, which again just for
that's straight up, isn't it?
Experience. Yeah, so it's not too bad a connection. It's still a bit of distance. A lot of us are doing an overnight train for about 30 hours for an experience, but then we're in Vancouver with 2 games 6 days apart. So that means the whole fan group, will be in the same place for 6 days. Whereas if you travel every city, every game, then from the day after a game, people start traveling and, people are all spread out. So yeah, fan perspective, it's really good.
What's the journey like from New Zealand? How do you get to, what was it? Vegas, did you say?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, beg pardon. How do you get to Los Angeles?
It's not too bad, and I guess I compare it to going to England, or Europe, which is 2 long flights and played opposite time zones. So yeah, when Kiwis are kind of used to doing that, and doing like a 12-hour and another kind of 7 or 8 hour, then just 1 long flight's not too bad.
Just put the shift in.
Yeah, we're used to it.
From a New Zealand perspective, do fans look at the England team and go, I don't know, see them as superstars compared to the New Zealand team? Do the players, I guess the players say, like Chris Wood, he's playing with some of these players, isn't he?
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's more like Chris Wood who are getting closer to those environments. Like I say, Libby and Serie A young player Ben Old was getting regular minutes in the French league last year until this club got relegated. So there's more now in that frame. Even like the Championship, some measures would say it's the 7th or 8th best league in the world. So we've got far more players playing in, really respectful environment and with amazing crowds and atmospheres. I think it'll be a close game. We've also, just rested a few £100 million players just because we can. No, so to contrast that, yeah, that's you put them in your C team now. Those Fodens and Palmers who are like global stars and regarded as some of the best talents in the world. 2 midfielders to miss out, like the next 2 midfielders to play. We've actually got quite strong 3 CDMs, so he plays a double pivot, 2 number 6s. One, Ryan Thomas, has played 12 years in Eredivisie in Holland and captains his club. So great experience. Half his career's been injured. Horrible luck. So he's like amazing resilience just to still be there. Marko Stamenic has mentioned, and Joe Bell, who's had 5 or 6 good years in Norway and sometimes also wears the captain's armband. I think he's 2nd or 3rd in line type thing.
Yeah.
So those are 3 really strong players who've, got a lot of experience even at some young ages in Marco's case, and Joe Bell was a couple of years older. So the next 2 down the line, one scored the winning goal for Auckland FC, but has probably had the last 4 or 5 years not professional, just playing back in the amateur game in New Zealand. Another one, Owen Parker-Price, made his debut in October last year.
Right.
2 months earlier, he was playing in the 3rd division in Sweden. So he had this amazing time where I actually messaged him, because Wellington's a small place. I messaged him about these friendlies we had in Oslo and said, it's like a 3-hour drive from your Swedish club. Like, let me know if you want to come, as fans.
Yeah.
And then a couple of weeks later, he's signing a new contract to go to one of the top 2nd division clubs, and then got the call up to the national team for the first time in 10 years since being in an under-17 team.
Wow.
And then they got promoted, and he's been starting the first few games at least, and then I think the 3rd he came off the bench. But now he's all of a sudden getting regular time in the Swedish 1st division. But at the start of the season, like Swedish 3rd division, I can't imagine they're on full-time money. And I would imagine that they have to structure it with coaching or something like that. So, yeah, that's a crazy contrast of players like that and journeys like that compared to, like I say, the Fodens and Palmers who are, probably on top of FIFA game covers. Not that I'm up to speed with that stuff anymore, but they're like global icons that, lots of kids in New Zealand every week would do the same Cole Palmer celebration.
Yes.
England heavily influences, because of our history and ancestry here.
Yeah.
Even though it's a very multicultural place. Yeah, the English game dominates football passion in this country like it does in most of the world. So God knows how that works for some of them. Whereas, like you say, Chris Wood plays against them every week. There's some of them that, have only really played in New Zealand in the Australian League. So, it must be a hell of an experience and a hell of a test for them.
But sometimes, you have these World Cups, these tournaments where suddenly a player can just break out, can't they? And they take this opportunity.
Oh, that's it. And that is the amazing thing of this spotlight. Like, if you're already in certain leagues and things, then, you're at a good enough level that you'll be seen. Like I said, Winston Reid, he went straight to West Ham from that World Cup. He was already young, playing at a good level, but that was the spotlight he needed. Scoring that goal that you saw probably makes you, more well-known when your name's on the score sheet too. But, it's life-changing. And even the money, I don't know how it works with how they break up the prize money and what the players actually receive. But I believe their club earns $250,000. So for these A-League clubs who have kind of 4 to 6 players each, like that's, a very healthy injection at this level of the game where a lot of players, won't be on more than £100,000 in your context.
Yeah.
So even that money is life-changing for some players who, because they're not on life-changing money, like it's a big stretch for their families to get over there and support and only know whenever it was a week or two ago who's in the team. So they have to either risk it and pay, the most expensive World Cup ever, pay a lot of money, and their son may not be selected. And their son's not on life-changing money just to bring them over.
Yeah. Wow. It's another way of looking at the World Cup with all the things that have happened in the build-up to this World Cup, and just the costs is a constant sort of thing that people refer to. Yeah, another thing to look at it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's the contrast of some of those stars and the bubbles and, £1 million lifestyle that they're in. And some, especially with the 48 team World Cup now and, Haiti and different countries that, are happy to be on that stage.
Yeah.
It's a very different world for some of them.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a World Cup that we see some players and teams having fun. I mean, obviously they're going to represent their country and do as well as they can, but the pride in being there.
Yeah, and it actually, when you focus on that, because you almost have to, I think it actually takes away a lot of fear. That's the New Zealand mentality generally, is, that underdog mentality where no one expects anything. So you kind of go in with more of a steely determination and there's nothing to fear. That England game's an example. It's, even if England win 5-0, the media may not be happy because it's only New Zealand. Like the measure that they're after is a lot higher.
Yeah. Yeah. So the game is 6th of June, England against New Zealand in Tampa. Are you going to this one, or are you just going out for the World Cup?
Yeah, we've got about 100 going.
Right.
And we're going to meet up with that World Cup guy. I had a coffee with him in Manchester about a year ago. He's a top guy person. Yep. Yeah, amazing guy. So we're really looking forward to the game.
He's a good guy. Make sure he buys you a pint.
Yeah, and I'll I better make sure I buy his book.
It's a good book. It's a good book. Matt, thank you very much for joining us. Wish you a safe journey over to the States and Canada and following the All Whites.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And hopefully you see a nice moment or two of both our team on the pitch and hopefully our fans in the stands, making your history and putting New Zealand on the football map.
Can I actually just tell us, where can we follow you on the old socials?
So on Instagram, the Flying Kiwis FC, and on Twitter, I think it's Flying Kiwis FC, and Facebook if that's your thing as well.
Awesome. Cool. Great to speak to you.
Amazing, mate. Thanks so much for having me, and see you again.
Thank you so much to Matt there. Now, we spoke a while back, so I didn't get the opportunity to cover the story that was Tim Payne. Now, if you hadn't heard, some Argentine influencer had enough time on their hands to go through every potential World Cup squad player and work out the least known with regards to their social media presence. Now, Tim Payne is an all-whites defender, and a couple of weeks back, he had less than 5,000 followers. Now, this influencer promoted him to the point that now, as I look on Instagram at Tim Payne New Zealand, he now has 4.4 million followers. Amazing. Tim Payne, Payne _ if you want to go follow him. Let's see if through this podcast, let's see if we can get him another 2 followers. But yeah, that's one of those quirky little stories of the World Cup, isn't it? Now, Costa Rica, we face them on Wednesday, the 10th of June, the day before the World Cup starts. We face them at the Inter and Co Stadium in Orlando. Now, Costa Rica, we have only previously met on 2 occasions. Firstly, in 2014, in the last game of that Brazil World Cup group stage. By that time, we were already out and we drew that dead rubber 0-0. Then we met 4 years later in a pre-World Cup friendly at Elland Road in Leeds. Won that 2-0 thanks to goals from Marcus Rashford and Danny Welbeck. But when I think back to players from Costa Rica, now the first one that comes to my mind is Paulo Wanchop. Remember him? He was a lanky old player who played for Derby, West Ham, Manchester City. Keylor Navas was Real Madrid's goalkeeper for a good few years in the mid-2010s. He won 3 Champions Leagues with them. But there's one other name that I remember from my childhood. Juan Queso. He played for various Costa Rican sides, but also Stuttgart Kickers in Germany. And he scored a goal during Italia 90, as I say, that I remember very well. It was Costa Rica's first World Cup, and they'd been drawn in a group with Brazil, Sweden and Scotland. Everyone thought they were there to make up the numbers, but I remember watching their first game. It was against Scotland, and it was the same day we opened our campaign by playing Ireland. Anyway, I remember watching it with my granddad, and amazingly, Costa Rica beat Scotland, and Queso scored the only goal of the game.
Marchena. Oh, he's made a bit of a hole. Flag stays down, and the ball goes in, and they all go to congratulate Fejos.
And they would also go on to beat Sweden too, and would only lose to Brazil 1-0. So they progressed through to the round of 16, where they were dumped out by Czechoslovakia 4-1. But they've since qualified on 5 more occasions, and that campaign in 2014 that I mentioned was their best, where they ultimately finished 8th, making it to the quarterfinals, where they lost to the Dutch on penalties. But for 2026, they missed out as Haiti took top spot in the group that they were in. Now, I've looked through their squad that they've selected. It seems to be very home-based. A couple of players play in Austria, Latvia and Russia. One plays in the States, but it probably underlines why they are ranked 51st in the FIFA rankings. Now, as I say, they play us on the 10th of June, but on the 1st of June, they played Colombia in Bogota in the first of their friendlies. They lost that 3-1. As I say, I really tried my hardest to find a Costa Rican to speak to about Los Ticos, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. So let's leave it there. I know many of you are heading out to Florida for these games. Some of you staying on for the tournament, some of you returning home after it. Whichever way you're going, I wish you a safe journey and enjoy the games. So we'll leave it there. Thanks as always for listening. Always appreciated. Don't forget, as I say, you can follow the show on social media. Just search 3 Lions Podcast. Now, with the World Cup approaching, I will be, looking to do quite a bit throughout it. Speaking with a Croatian, a Ghanaian and a Panamanian. So make sure you're subscribed and you won't miss them. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.